And the broadcast is started. So, kids, let's do this in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, geeks, and welcome to episode 98 of Growing Up Geek. I'm Trevor Schaefer, and joining me this week is Mozart's ghost. No one at all. No, everyone's kind of busy tonight, and I didn't want to waste any more time and bring a Growing Up Geek back. I feel bad because Growing Up Geek usually comes back the first week of October. But I was kind of busy this fall. October is a busy month for us to begin with. We have my birthday. We have my son's birthday. We have my nephew's birthday. We have our wedding anniversary. We have my parents' wedding anniversary. And we have Halloween. So that's kind of a busy month to begin with. What happened right after that was we had a baby. We had a little baby girl. She was supposed to be born around the 8th or 9th. They decided to induce on the 5th. My wife went into labor on the 4th, and my daughter was born at 12:20 a.m. on the 5th. So they were right. She was born on the 5th, just not in the way we imagined. So my wife was on maternity leave from pretty much that point all the way through the beginning of January. So I had to get a part-time job to cover the maternity leave. So I was working all kind of crazy hours in retail like you normally do around the Christmas season. So there was no way I could possibly do this. There was just absolutely no way. So she's back at work. She's been back at work for almost a month. My hours are cut at work, my new availability, because I'm back to being a stay-at-home dad. Go me, go me. Which is a little different with having an infant this time rather than just being me and Jack. But because I'm working, I'm only working like 20 hours a week now, 28 at the most. I'm able to do Growing Up Geek now. I did contact the crew. The crew is busy. Today's Ashley's birthday. JP is just so busy with the business. Dale's busy. Jerry, I texted. I don't know if he's going to be on it. Threw him an invitation. He said he didn't know if he would be able to make it. I didn't send an invitation to Tom. I know he's busy. I should have probably sent an invitation to him. I apologize, Tom. I will send you an invitation next time if you're interested. A little bit of a different setup this time because it's going to be a one-man show. A little more commentary on one-sided, obviously. Also, I apologize if the audio is bad. I'm having an issue with the mixer, and I'm unable to wear a headset to check my levels. I have to look into the mixer. The mixer may be dying. The mixer's been used and abused pretty hard over the last few years. So a new mixer may be in the future. If I do get a mixer, I know what kind of mixer I want. So we're going to be upgrading the mixer definitely. But I'm going to see if I can fix the mixer. But right now I set the levels beforehand. So hopefully I am not overbearing and crackling and doing all that kind of fun stuff. And if I'm the opposite, if I'm too low, I apologize again. This is an experiment. This is how it's going to go. So with that, let's move on to some stuff to talk about this week. Let's see here. What should we start off with? Let's start off with Radio Shack, that retailer that we all knew and loved and spent too many hours in before the advent of the internet, filed for bankruptcy. They are going the way of the dinosaur. They have struck a deal to sell up to 2,400 of its approximately 4,000 stores to Sprint, the wireless cell phone company Sprint. They will create a store within a store in up to 1,750. I was going to say 1,750, but 1,750 of those stores. The remaining part of those stores is expected to close. Now, this does not affect any stores in Mexico. This does not affect any stores in Canada, and it doesn't affect any privately owned franchise stores. Chances are, though, your local Radio Shack is going to close or it's going to become some kind of hybrid Sprint store. I can only imagine if they're only going to do 1,750 of those, I imagine they're going to be in major markets, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Philadelphia, Dallas, Atlanta, all your major cities. So those of you in smaller towns like me who have 3 Radio Shacks within 15 minutes of each other, say goodbye. Bye-bye. Gone the way of the dinosaur. I have to admit, I used to use Radio Shack a lot. In fact, I bought my first 486 computer from Radio Shack. It was a Tandy. I actually still have it upstairs. It's made up for a DOS box. I bought a network card for it, and it's a true DOS box. It has actual DOS on it, Windows 3.11, and I keep it just because some programs on there, like Duke Nukem Editor, which reissued with the Megaton edition, which I purchased, but that was the only way I could edit it. Doom Editor is on there, just little things like that, which is funny because I'm keeping a machine that is obsolete yet can do things that I can't do today on these modern machines because the software was never updated. So it's kind of a little, kind of a funny thing there. But I have to admit that I haven't been in a Radio Shack to purchase anything in a long time. About a year and a half ago, I needed an adapter. I forget what adapter I needed. Not a plug-in adapter, but like a male to female or a male to male adapter for. It was probably audio, probably not video. And I went in there, and they wanted something like $7 for it. When I knew on Monoprice, I had priced it before. It was like $1.50 and like $3 for shipping. My thing was I wanted it right then and there, but I couldn't justify paying like an extra $4 or $5 to have it right then and there. So I ordered from Monoprice and waited. But with Monoprice, getting cables literally pennies on the dollar, Amazon to order other things. I mean, they have tons of cell phones, but how many cell phone stores and kiosks do you have around you? If you're anything like me, you can't drive for 5 minutes without seeing a goddamn cell phone store. So again, they've kind of they've been eliminated from relevance between the internet and cell phone stores and everything else like that. Funny side story I'm going to tell you about. Last spring, this would be spring 2014, I was feeling good, and I'm like, you know what? I think it'd be good for me to go back to work full time, put Jack in daycare. We knew the baby was coming, and this would be an opportunity for me to just sock away a lot of money. So I went on a couple job interviews, and one was for a store manager of Radio Shack. And had the interview with the district manager, and everything went great. And we started talking money, and the money was about 10 grand short of where I wanted to be. So we discussed, and he's like, well, you can make it up. You have unlimited overtime. You're hourly, not salary, blah, 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 blah. And the store I was going to have was literally about 2 minutes away from me. Well, we get to the end of the interview, and, thanking him. He's like, okay, I want you to meet my boss, the regional manager. You're going to have your final interview with them. What are your feelings about driving to X town? Not going to name the town. And I'm like, the X town is about 45 minutes away. And I'm like, well, depends on the money. I said, what will my increase be? And he's like, well, no, it'll be the same thing. So I was going to get paid the same crap wage to work 2 minutes away as I would 45 minutes away. Needless to say, I never went and met with the regional manager, because at that point I would have been working, if the store he wanted me to go to wasn't the store I wanted and originally applied for. So I would have been working for about $4 to $5 an hour, which is well below minimum wage and was not worth it. So I'm glad I didn't work for them, because obviously I'd be without a job in a few weeks. So the fact that I'm working part-time at another big box retailer, I don't exactly set my own hours, but I have my own availability. I go in, I do my job. I'm not management. I'm not a supervisor. I'm just a grunt. I don't even spend a lot of time on the sales floor. I'm in the back room warehouse, which is beautiful, which is the perfect job for me. I get to spend all day with the kids, work at night with the company, work at weekends. I work really weird hours on weekends, but I get to spend the majority of Saturday with my family, because I go in Saturday night. I go in early Sunday morning, so I get to spend Sunday afternoon and evening with my family. So it kind of works out. But I feel bad for all these people who are going to lose their job. I mean, well, I do, and I don't. I feel bad for them, because obviously they're losing their job, but at the same time, getting to look behind the curtain, I see what they were getting paid. I know what the part-timers are getting paid. I know what the management staff is getting paid. And I got to tell you, there's better things out there. Sure, they get commission. It's 0.5% on everything. That's not a lot coming from a guy who used to work commission. And I think they'll be better off being someplace else. I know two people who were actually store managers. They've moved on. and they say it's the best thing they ever did. So both of them ironically in the cellular phone market. So, and both now work for the same exact company. They used to be competitors, and now they work for the same company. So, so Radio Shack, I'll be sad to see it go because it's something we all grew up with. Best memories, buying my first computer there, buying just stupid things there that I needed. My friends and I were into CBs in high school, setting up aerials and getting Y adapters to run 2 antennas, and it was a bike right away, and I was able to get this stuff. But in the age of the internet, it comes right to your door. You don't have to leave your house, and it's cheaper. So what are you going to do? You got to move on. And unfortunately, they can't move on. They're just collapsing. So collapsing, that's a good segue. Speaking of collapsing, the definition of broadband possibly will be collapsing soon. The FCC is setting up a vote to redefine what broadband is. Right now, the definition of broadband is any speed of 4 megabits or higher. What they're voting to change it to is 25 megabits or higher. And this is huge. This is really huge. Compared to the rest of the world, we have one of the worst internet systems in the world. Why is it bad? It's bad because we don't have fast speed. We have the capability and the capacity to offer speeds just like, in Asia, where you're getting 200 or 300 megabits down, 150 megabits up, just amazingly fast speeds with no data caps. But no, in America, there's corporate greed, there's monopolies, and they make you pay more than what you would pay in overseas for much slower internet connection, bandwidth caps, and they rape you over the costs. Why? Because you don't have an alternative. You don't. There's 3 major players in the broadband market, which is Time Warner Cable, Comcast, and it's a tie between Verizon and AT&T Uverse. And there's no way for the little guys to get in and really compete. So they set the bar, they set the standard, and everyone else kind of has to fall in line. They have tried in the past, several communities out in the Midwest, to run their own fiber. To say, we're going to start our own ISP as a town. We'll run our own fiber. We'll run it to the backbone. And these major companies have sued them, saying you can't do that. You have to use our lines. And because of lobbying and everything else in Washington, they won the case. So you're stuck using their system no matter what. You can't build your own system. Google is trying to build their own system with Google Fiber, but it's going slow. It's only available in a handful of markets. The speed is fantastic. The price is fantastic, but that's all you get. The closest thing to that is Verizon Fios, but they've stopped making Fios. They're not expanding anymore because they're not making enough money off of it. I don't know how much money they figured they would make. I really only know one person who has Fios because it's not available anywhere near me. If it was available near me, I'd probably have Verizon Fios just because of the speeds, but it isn't there. I actually just upgraded my internet yesterday. We were paying for 15 megabits up, 1 megabit down. Or sorry, let's reverse that. I wish it was that. It's 15 megabits down, 1 megabit up. I hate the 1 megabit up. I absolutely hate it. I upload these podcasts. I upload a lot of vlogs and videos to YouTube, and it takes forever. I want to stream through Twitch. My upload speed isn't fast enough. So one of the things I did over the summer is I went to my cell phone provider, AT&T, and I got an LTE hotspot, a 4G LTE hotspot, which is fantastic because not only do I have the hotspot box that I could take anywhere, our phones also have the hotspot capability now. So I kind of renegotiated my contract a little bit with their new plan. So I ended up getting our bill lowered plus the hotspot, and I'm saving money. It's less money than I was paying before. So it was a fantastic deal. And I've used the hotspot a lot of times when I upload at home, just for the simple fact that I can get up to 2 megabit download off upload off LTE. I will get the upload and download corrected. I can get the upload at 2 megabits through the LTE network, where I'm stuck sometimes at like 0.6 megabits at home, depending on the network traffic. So I use that a lot, and I just wish there was a different option. I did get a letter at the beginning of January saying that in 2015 they are actually going to double our upload speed to 2 megabits, but they don't have an ETA. So it'd be nice to get the 2 megabits up, but I don't know when that's going to come. It could be anywhere from now to December 31st, or it could be, delayed to 2016. You don't know about that. But I did go online yesterday, and I'm like, do they have any new packages for 2015? I know they're upping the upload. Maybe they have a new plan now, because the only way you could up your upload beforehand was to get a business account. For the plan I'm on, the 15 down, 1 up, I would be paying approximately $60 more a month for the business plan, and I'd be getting 15 down, 2 up. So I'd be paying $60 extra just for an extra 1 megabit up. That didn't make sense to me. That absolutely did not make sense to me. So I didn't go that route. So I look online, my provider, who was through my cable company, who ironically I can't go through the provider who's contracted through my cable company, because they won't sell residential anymore because they're contracted to go through my cable company. This is the monopoly shit I'm talking about, that I can't get what I want, even though it's available to get. Because of these goddamn monopolies and contracts, I can't get what I want. But I digress. So I go on their page, and there are all the plans laid out. And it starts at 3 megabits, which isn't even considered broadband. And it goes all the way up to 30 megabits. And I'm like, okay, let me look at the pricing. Okay, the upload is still the same with all of them, is 1 megabit. So I'm paying, I'm not going to say how much I pay. It's not a lot, but for what I get, I think it's a little bit much. So I get the 15.1. The next step up, now they used to be normally $10 to $15 for each step up in their plan. So their plan goes from where I'm at. I used to be on the 10. They eliminated the 10. I automatically got bumped up to 15. After 15 is 25, and after 25 is 30. This is all megabits down. 1 is still up. So I noticed they changed the pricing. So to go from 15 megabits down to 25 megabits down, it's only $5. So I'm like, wait a minute. So I can almost double my speed for $5 extra, which is great, because we've been running into a bottleneck lately, because one of us will be, actually all of us will be streaming at the same time. We normally always are. Someone's always on YouTube. Someone's always on Netflix or Amazon or Hulu. We cut the cord 2 years ago. God, I think it's 3 years ago now. We stream everything. We stream everything all the time. So with all of us streaming, it creates a bottleneck. So someone gets lag, someone gets poor quality. So upload, upping the download speed make perfect sense. So I called my provider, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to speak to someone about, changing plans on my internet. It's like, yeah, sure, I could help you. Like, give me your information, gave my account and everything else like that. And he's like, oh, you have the 15. Do you want to go to the 25? And I'm waiting for, okay, is this a limited time? Is this not right on the website? I said, yeah, I'd like to go to 25. It's like, okay, that'd be an extra $5 a month. I'm like, holy shit, the website's right. I'm like, okay, set me up with that. He said it'll be about 5 minutes. He just has to reboot my modem, and it'll be there. Okay. He rebooted the modem. I go to speed test, and boom, I'm getting 25 down. Now, that's a great story in and of itself, but here's where it gets screwy. And here's where, again, we're so far behind the rest of the world when it comes to broadband. For me to go to 15 to 25 cost me $5. $5. For me to go from 25 to 30, now I'm only going up 5 megabits. I'm not going up to 10 megabits I just did for $5. Logic would suggest, okay, another $5 to go to 30. No. 10? No. $20 for me to go from 25 to 30 with the same upload speed. Nothing extra, nothing at all. Just extra 5 megabits would cost me $20. Needless to say, I will never go to the $30 or 30 megabit package unless they upgrade me for free. So I feel sorry for anybody who thinks that that's a good deal, because I just want to slap you in the head with something if you think, $20 for 5 megabits from 25 to 30 is a good deal. So God love you if you think it's a good deal, because you are getting screwed. You are absolutely getting screwed. So right now I got 25 down, waiting on the 2 up, so far behind. In fact, when I did speedtest.net, it came back and it's like, hey, you're slower than 60% of the country. And I'm like, woohoo, I'm slower than 60% of the country, because I think I used to be 70 with my old plan. So you can see what kind of internet I get to deal with here, which sucks, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. So I know we touched on Verizon, talking about cell phones, and we talked about their Vios. Verizon is actually trying to unload all of its landline business right now. The thing that Verizon started with, they are actually getting out of. They want everything to be wireless. They want everything to be mobile. So right now, they sold their landline business already out west. They're looking now to sell their service in the Northeast. I take that back. They're looking to sell in the Northeast after they've already sold in California, Texas, and Florida. So obviously it's not the entire West, because Texas is central and Florida is east. But they're looking to do that for $15 billion. They're looking to sell everything to Frontier Communications, who will acquire the phone and broadband wires, that's DSL, from Verizon. That means that millions of residential, commercial, and wholesale Verizon customers will have their service transferred to Frontier, as well as 11,000 Verizon employees will suddenly become Frontier employees. So why is this interesting? Well, it's interesting for a few different reasons. One, Verizon, after the Ma Bell stages, when I first moved into this house 15 years ago, I had a landline, and I had it through Bell Atlantic. If you can't tell, I'm on the East Coast. They got bought out by Verizon, and I had Verizon until I got rid of my landline once we got broadband, because I only had the landline basically for dial-up internet. And everyone else I know had Verizon landline. Well, almost everyone I know has gotten rid of their landline. The last holdout was my parents, and they just switched over to VoIP through their cable company last year. So they don't even have a landline anymore. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It gets interesting from my perspective, because I told you about my interview at Radio Shack. Well, I also interviewed for Verizon Wireless, and I ended up getting that job. And I was a salesman with them at a corporate store. And they never offered, landline service. Instead, they offered home phone service, but they called it a home phone connect. And what it did is it ran off your cellular network and your Wi-Fi. So it was basically VoIP. It's exactly what it is, that it ran right over the cell phone towers, and you had a landline number. So right there, I saw them phasing it out. We offered, what was it called? Triple Play through Comcast, which is the internet. We couldn't offer the internet individually. The only thing we could offer through the internet was what they called jetpacks, which was wireless internet through the cellular network. So kind of like a hotspot. It's basically what it was. And we could sell data plans onto that. So everything was going wireless. Everything was going cellular. So we weren't selling DSL. We weren't selling landlines. It was strictly mobile. Now, granted, it was Verizon Wireless, but we couldn't sell the whole package because they didn't want us to sell the whole package. So now that everything is going to there, they're betting everything on their wireless network. Now, don't get me wrong. I had a company phone, and the speed on their LTE network is amazing. Oh, my God, is it amazing. I used to upload podcasts with it. In fact, I uploaded the last couple episodes of Growing Up Geek with it. And holy shit, was that thing fast. It was just mind-boggling amazing. And people would come in, and they would do 50 gigs a month And I'm like, how the hell can you do that? And then once I see the speed, I understand that, oh my God. A typical podcast like this is a couple hundred megs to upload to YouTube. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it's already on YouTube, to upload to our server so we can play it on our site. It takes about 2 hours with my upload speed, maybe 2.5 hours. I was uploading podcasts in less than 20 minutes. That's how fast the LTE is, which is fantastic. So they are betting everything on your cellular network. Now, I have to admit they have one of the best cellular networks. They have the best coverage map. They can go places my AT&T phone can't go. My AT&T phone, unfortunately, we have property out in the country. I can't get a signal with it. It doesn't drop as many calls as it used to, but it still drops calls every once in a while. I did have Verizon. I actually left Verizon. I had no problem with their service. I enjoyed their service, but I wanted an iPhone. And this is back when AT&T had the stranglehold on the iPhone. That's the only place you can get it. So I actually bought out my Verizon contract and started a new contract, which I have to this day with AT&T for the iPhones. So I only lasted at that job a while. It wasn't for me. So I hold no ill will with the company at all. But this is interesting that they're getting rid of their landline business and going all wireless and all cellular. So the lesson for this is, I think they have to keep up and they have to keep updating their cell towers, because you can't have cell towers going down if everybody's relying on it now for phone, because you don't offer phone service anymore through the Verizon masthead. So again, another interesting story that I thought that was worthy of talking about, given that it's a legacy like Radio Shack. It's a passing legacy in progress. It's moving forward. So moving backwards, let's talk about our friend DRM. We've talked about this plenty of times, almost as much as we've talked about DLC. DRM is digital rights management. What it is, it's basically a way for people to keep you from copying something. The reason you can't rip DVDs is because it's encrypted. That's the DRM. The reason you're not allowed to play iTunes movies on anything other than an Apple device or an Apple authorized device or software is DRM. The DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, that is in place for the DRM to make circumventing the DRM against the law. So even though we probably all rip our DVDs, they are encrypted. A lot of them are poorly encrypted. That's how we could break the encryption with something like Handbrake. But that is, in effect, illegal. So if you ever rip a movie, it's illegal. You are breaking the law because of the DRM. If you copy a game, it is illegal. You are breaking the DRM. So DRM has been strictly for entertainment. Like I said, movies, some music, because iTunes used to have DRM on their music. They got rid of the DRM, so I'm still counting that. There's a little bit of music, because I actually have some DRM music still that I bought years and years and years and years and years ago. So like I said, it's mostly entertainment, games, movies, music. You really don't see it too much in any other places. Well, now you're seeing it in a place which no one can understand, and it's causing a big uproar. You're seeing it in your coffee maker. Keurig came out with Keurig 2.0 last year. And part of the 2.0 is they changed their K-Cups. And if you don't know what a Keurig is, it's a little coffee machine. You put the little cups in, it does single-serving coffees. They changed their cups so you could only use 2.0 cups in their machine. How did they do that? Well, there's a little code on each K-Cup, and there's an infrared scanner, just like you would scan something at a register. It has to scan that code before it'll authorize the unit to start brewing the coffee. This caused a huge uproar. This caused a huge uproar because all the K-Cups that are out there right now for all the regular machines will not work in it. The patent expired about a year ago for the K-Cups that allowed third-party manufacturers to make their own K-Cups. There are K-Cups out there that are reusable that you could put your own coffee in. All that does not work on these. And because of that, they produced hang on one second. I know I should have been better prepared. It did launch in June. Apparently, there is a message on the display that says, oops. That's right. It actually says, oops, if it cannot read the Keurig cup code. Now, Keurig, to give you an idea of why they may have done this RPM, Keurig is owned by Green Mountain Coffee. Before they were doing that, they were like a specialty brewer. You saw it in like Wawa and Sheetz and a couple other, stores. You could convenience stores. You could buy it at the grocery store. Well, just with their Keurig business, they did in one quarter. This is just an example. $1.4 billion. $1 billion of that $1.4 billion came from selling those little K-Cups. So you know where their money is. You know what they're going after now. They want the monopoly on those K-Cups now that people can make the K-Cups. So that's why they changed it for the 2.0. Because of that, if you go on Amazon and look for Keurig 2.0, it has gotten more one-star reviews with horrible, horrible reviews than it does any other star review. It's so bad, in fact, that they reported a loss. Do I have the numbers for the loss? I don't think I have the numbers. Here it goes. The sales fell 12% in the last quarter. That was the first full quarter in which the 2.0 was on sale. Their excuse to the investors was the 2.0 launch got off to a slower start than we planned. That's not really true. People aren't buying it because where I work, we sell packs of up to 48 K-Cups. Jason at his computer store has all the K-Cups there. You have all these K-Cups, and now you're upgrading your machine, and now everything you own can't work with it. It's akin to something us gamers go through every couple of years. It used to be every 2 years. Now it's every 5 to 7 years is when we come up with a new console. We have all those games now. We can only play it on the old system. It's not backwards compatible. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that because it's something to be expected. You have people writing programs for a specific machine set. With the new version, I have Mavericks on my Mac. With the previous version, I have Yosemite. With Mavericks, the previous version, you couldn't play PowerPC games anymore or use PowerPC programs. Again, you're moving along. It's digital. I understand that. But why do we have to do something so asinine with something as simple as a coffee maker? How do you make coffee? Beans, water, time. That's all you do. That's all you do. You can make cold coffee with cold water. You can make hot coffee with hot water. You're basically just getting the juice, for lack of a better term, out of the bean, and that's it. So why do you need DRM to do that? Because you're greedy and you want to sell another $1 billion worth of K-Cups in a quarter. You don't want that money to go away. When I first read this article, I was just flabbergasted, I'll be honest, just because I'm used to DRM in certain things, and this takes it to the next order. And if this is successful, where are we going to see DRM next? Are we going to see, DRM in washing machines? You can only use the manufacturer's soap in that washing machine. So I have a Samsung washing machine. I have to use Samsung branded soap because it won't allow you to open the soap container unless there's an infrared scanner, and I have to scan the barcode of the soap. Now, you are thinking the same thing I'm thinking. We could hack that. You keep a bottle there, you just scan it, you put in your own soap. Well, they're hacking the Keurig in the same way. They won't say exactly how, but they are actually selling chips right now to override the scanner. That's right. They're selling mod chips for your coffee machine to get it to work. How asinine is this? So I'm hoping that Keurig and Green Mountain Coffee just totally realize how just batshit crazy they are and make this go away within the next year. Because if they don't make it go away the next year, I think someone else is going to come out with another Keurig competitor that will work with Keurig K-Cups, that will have their own version of K-Cups because the patent is expired on it. That just totally takes away their business. I really hope that happens because you're being assholes. End rant. Assholes. Let's talk about assholes. AOL, remember them? Used to be America Online. Well, they are going through and they are shedding more of their properties. The latest property to go onto the chopping block is a fantastic gaming website that we've referenced more than once on this site. We've referenced all the time on Down Forward Punch. The site is Joystick. They are getting rid of it. They are wiping it off the web. Done. Fina. Bye. They are also wiping out their podcasts. One of the podcasts, which is the most popular podcast, which is WoW Insider for World of Warcraft. The people behind that are actually taking the initiative. They're forming a new podcast, like a lot of people on the Twit network did when their shows were canceled, and they're doing it through Patreon. For those of you who don't know who Patreon is a system. It's kind of like Kickstarter, but different. You pledge X amount of money for each episode they produce. You can pay, you could start at any time, stop at any time. But it's not a monetary based system where you have levels. So you can go on to a podcast, something like I watch Cord Killers. They have a Patreon account. So I really like the podcast. So if I want, I could throw them $1 every time they have a podcast. So every week I'm throwing them $1. $4 a month, give me 4 podcasts. I could also throw them a nickel if I wanted to. So every episode you make, I'm going to throw you a nickel. Your podcast is now going to cost me 20 cents. I could throw them a penny. I could throw them $10, $20, or I could throw them nothing and enjoy it for free. This is the way a lot of podcasts are going. Patrick Norton just started a new one called Tech Thing. That's his model, is Patreon. So that's where these guys from the WoW Insider are going. They're going Patreon, and they're going to do their own thing, their own podcast. They're going to continue the legacy on there. So I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great thing. A lot of the editors and writers said they might do something similar. It's a shame for all the journalism that's there and the history of the gaming journalism and the experience there just to go away. But this is turning out to be a really downer podcast. We're talking about things that are going away. We're talking about, Radio Shack going away, Verizon landlines going away, non-joysticks going away. The next story I'm going to talk about is about something going away. I don't mean to say this, but, I don't want to sound old. I don't want to sound cliche, but times change. Times are changing. And you could either adapt or be left behind. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So what are we leaving behind next? We are leaving behind iPhoto on the Mac, on OS 10. Why are we leaving iPhoto behind? Because they finally realized that iPhoto is antiquated. I love iPhoto. I have all my photos in iPhoto, and I dread opening up iPhoto because I have something like, I think it's close to 10,000 photos in there, if not more, and it just lags. It's so slow. The indexing system is slow. So they're not removing, but they're discontinuing iPhoto, and they're calling it Apple Photos. Now, you're curious, what's the difference going to be? And this is where it's going to be a little iffy for me. It's going to be just like your Photos app on your iPhone. So it's going to have tight integration with the iPhone, with iOS, but you're going to go just like you do with the camera roll. You're going to have, I'm looking at a screenshot of it right now. It looks just like the iOS photos. You have 4 different tabs. You have photos, shared, albums, and projects. I like the projects because I do make stuff. We usually do a Christmas card out of it. Photos, it just shows you all the photos by date. Love that. Albums, love albums. I name a lot of albums. Christmas 2014, Adelaide, Jackson, special events like that, hunting. I'd like to name them because it's quick for me to search, you know. What did Jack get last Christmas? Hang on, you know, Christmas 2013. Boom, here's all the pictures. Oh, that's right, he got that from Santa. I like that searchability. I also like going through chronologically. Now, chronologically, when you go through iPhoto, everything's in a folder. So it takes all the photos from that day, puts them in a folder. So you got to find that folder, open it up. There's your photos. You want to see the photo, double click on the photo, then you can scroll through them. Now it just shows up just like it does on your phone, and it's one long line of pictures for that day. I like that. As long as it doesn't bog everything down by displaying all those photos at once, I'm okay with that. The one thing I'm hoping this fixes, and it's been a gripe of mine since day one, is when you double click on a photo and it comes up in the bigger size, I cannot drag that to my desktop or save it. I have to close that window out, go back to the thumbnail, then I can pull that off of iPhoto and put it on my desktop. It's a minor thing, but that's one thing that has always bugged me. So hopefully in Apple Photos, they will fix that. Right now, it is available as a developer seed. The final version will be available with an update to OS X later this spring. And a public beta, they said, should be able, be available sometime before that. So look forward to this spring. So a couple months, we should know exactly what Apple Photos looks like. So speaking of spring, see, we're moving right along here. See, you thought the show would be boring. Spring brings a new game so close to my heart, I want to rip it out. That's a little, see what I did there. Mortal Kombat X. I've been following this game since its inception, and it is coming out on the 14th of April, if I remember the date exactly, 14th of April, which is also Jerry's birthday. Remember to wish him a happy birthday. They're coming out with it on Windows, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. So why is this so special to me? I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I've played every single Mortal Kombat game out there except for Special Forces and Sub-Zero Mythologies. Those are the two I have not played, and probably for very good reason if you've ever played them. This game is going to make me go to the next generation, or current generation, how you look at it. I was going to get it for the PS3. And why not? I have a PS3, everything's hooked up. But now that I have this part-time job, I can save some money here and there. And my goal is to have a PS4 by the time this comes out so I can enjoy the graphics, because the graphics I have seen, full HD at 60 frames per second, are absolutely breathtaking. Go on YouTube, search for it. They are still announcing characters right now. The characters confirmed are Ermac, Kano, Kitana, Kung Lao, Quan Chi, Raiden, Reptile, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Cassie Cage, Devora, Farah and Tor, and Kotal Khan. So some of those names you probably don't know in there. Devora is it's like a spider wasp creature. She has like these arms and wings and everything else like that. Farah and Tor are this big guy and this little girl that's on the back, and they fight in conjunction. Kotal Khan is kind of the replacement for Shao Kahn. He is a Khan. He kind of looks like an Aztec god. Everyone else you should know. The one thing that is a bonus if you pre-order, which I'm going to be pre-ordering mine next week for the PlayStation 4, so that forces me to get the PS4 because I only have it on PS4. So if you pre-order it, you'll be able to play as Goro. Now, you're going to be able to play as Goro eventually because it's going to be DLC. But why not go to GameStop, put $5 down, and get Goro for free? Because you're going to pay the regular price for the game. It's going to be $59.99. So why not get a little DLC for free? That's my feeling. When Mortal Kombat came out, the latest one, Mortal Kombat 9 technically, back in 2011, I pre-ordered through GameStop because I got some Scorpion's classic costume for free. Depending where you ordered, you got a costume for free. Now, they came out with costume packs after that, and I purchased some of the costume packs. That way, I got all the regular costume packs, but I got that DLC for free. And to me, if I can get something for free that doesn't cost me anything, that's absolutely fantastic. So yes, Mortal Kombat X is coming out. They are actually calling it Mortal Kombat X and not Mortal Kombat 10. So the inner gamer in me is waiting for this game. Ironically, I'm going to get a PS4, and there's only 2 games right now I am looking forward to for it. Mortal Kombat being one of them, and Batman Arkham Knight. And that'll be coming out later this year. So I can't wait for both of those games. I want them so bad. Really bad, really bad, really bad. So while we're talking about consoles, how are the console wars going? The console wars, we're going to go off of the third quarter numbers. The reason we're going off the third quarter is in business, your fourth quarter ends at the end of January. So we won't have those numbers yet, being it's only the 7th. It's the 7th right now because it's after midnight of February. So third quarter numbers for the systems, you are looking at little over 4 million PlayStation 4 sold, about 2.5 pushing it Xbox One sold, and about 750,000 Wii U sold. All total, the PlayStation 4 is dominating, and I can tell you that for a fact because the big box store I work at, we cannot keep PlayStation 4s in stock. We can't. I've got so many Xboxes and Wii U's in my back room. We trip over them sometimes. PlayStation 3s, I put them on the shelf and they're gone. PlayStation 4s, not PlayStation 3s. Get it straight. Okay, PlayStation 4s. I put them on the floor. They are gone. So, and they have some good bundles. Right now, the bundle that's out there, that's the newest one, is the Last of Us bundle. You get the Last of Us for free. Xbox has had a great bundle. They've had the Assassin's Creed bundle. You get 2 Assassin's Creed games. Even though, I shouldn't say even though. Yeah, even though the Xbox One is sold, well, it's sold in 2 different forms now, with Kinect, without Kinect. Without Kinect is the same price as the PS4, and yet PS4 is still outperforming it. Now, I did have a little bit of a quandary. I don't know why, but I want a Wii U. I want a Wii U probably just for the Mario nostalgia. I want to play the new Super Mario Brothers 3D on there, and Smash Brothers, and maybe Bayonetta. But I have that nostalgia. Is that nostalgia worth $300? Probably not. And I was considering getting a Wii U first rather than a PS4, but they released a new video today showing the towers, the factions. They confirmed brutalities in Mortal Kombat, and because of all that, I am dead set laser vision on Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat X. Wow, it's you can tell I worked all night for the PlayStation 4. That's where I'm going right now with that. So, but in the console wars right now, Sony is winning. I wouldn't say by a huge margin, but I'm going to say a huge margin because it is a huge margin. The reason I'm not going to say it's a huge margin is because we don't have fourth quarter numbers. The Xboxes we did have in our store in the fourth quarter were flying out of the store, but then again, so were the PS3s, especially I will say that PS4s, especially the White Destiny bundle, which was a limited edition, that was flying out of the store pretty quickly. So there's your update on the console war, kids. Now that we've talked about Nintendo, we brought up that. Let's talk about Nintendo practices on YouTube. And this is shitty, this is good, and this is scary. Let me explain each and one of those. Nintendo now has created what they call a creators program. So what you do is you register individuals or an entire channel on YouTube for Let's Play videos. So what they do is they take a cut. So they said, well, you know what? It's not that bad. Most creator contents will keep 60 to 70% of their revenue from ads. We're going to take 30 to 40%, which is fine if you look at it this way, that before this, if you put up a Nintendo video, they claimed copyright on it and you got none of the revenue. So at least you're getting a little bit of the revenue. Now, the thing that's bad about this is because they're giving you the 60 to 70% of the revenue after they take their cut. YouTube still takes their cut. I think YouTube's cut is like 30%. So if you look at the end, you're only getting 30 to 40% of the video you created, you uploaded, you curated, you promoted, but at least you're getting something, because before all this, you were getting nothing with the Nintendo video. Now, why is this scary? This is scary because this right now is setting a precedent. This is a program that's working right now. It's 100% live. That what happens if Sony and Microsoft hop on this bandwagon? That, okay, you want to upload Let's Play videos, which, let's be honest, Twitch is huge. Twitch is absolutely huge. Now, you can stream games like this live and not pay Nintendo a dime. But most Twitch users upload it to their own channel, to YouTube. Why do they do that? Because you know what? Sometimes when these guys are playing at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sleeping. Like most other people, I'm sleeping. So I don't get to see that stream. But if I know who, that they streamed, maybe I want to see, how they do in Super Smash Brothers. Well, I'll just go on their YouTube channel. I'll pull up last night's stream and I'll watch it. That's how they make their revenue through that. Now, let's not even go how they make revenue in Twitch through donations and subscriptions. That's a totally different argument right there, which has nothing to do with this. But they generate their revenue through their YouTube stream. And in doing that, they get a following on YouTube. In turn, they get a following on Twitch where they make extra money on Twitch. And this is how these people make a living. They make a living making money playing video games, which I'm completely jealous about. Do not get me wrong. I wish I could do that. Unfortunately, being in your late 30s with 2 kids, you can't do that. 2 young kids. My kids are in college, it'd be a different story. If my kids were in college, I would have had kids when I was like 14 years old. Didn't. So this is going to be one of those things that's going to be interesting to watch, because if Microsoft sees this and goes, you know what, you're doing this, we're going to do this. And Sony goes, you know what, you're doing this, we're going to do this. Hopefully they're going to take the high ground, especially hopefully Sony, who after Xbox One was released, or not released, unveiled, and they had all the DRM and everything else like that. And Sony laughed at it and said, you know what, we're putting almost no DRM. You want to trade a game with someone? Give them the game. You don't have to lend it to them. You don't have to be always online. You don't have to, do all that kind of crap. So, hang on. What's up, buddy?
Daddy, remember that scary movie we watched?
Yeah.
It gives me nightmares when I try to sleep on my bed.
Okay, I'll be right in, buddy. So this is hopefully that Sony's going to take the high ground, and you don't have to worry about that. Microsoft, just like they did, they backtracked on their Xbox One stance, and they went more to a Sony model. So hopefully they'll follow suit with Sony, and eventually, hopefully, possibly make Nintendo backtrack on this themselves. Is it a problem right now? Yes. Is this a solution? Yes. Is this something that we want to see continue? No, we don't at all. So that's it for episode 98 of Growing Up Geek. Thank you for listening. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you didn't make it all the way to the end, you missed a lot. You really missed out. You're doing yourself a disservice. So hopefully we can make this back once a week. I'm hoping at the minimum once a month. Hopefully we can get some of the crew back. I'm not promising every week right now. We are going to see what kind of schedule we can do. If you're listening to this, though, especially on the website, check out our other podcasts. We have the bi-weekly Trainwreck, which updates every few weeks, and we have Trev's Head, which is back to updating every week. So I'm not going to do a pick of the week because it's just me. Maybe next week we'll do a pick of the week. But I want to thank everyone for joining me online, watching it live through Google Hangouts. I want to thank everyone for listening through iTunes, through listening to through our site, and downloading. So guess what, kids? We'll see you next time.